Hey everybody, this podcast isn't safe for work or children, or scholars looking to research the concept of infinity. Have a fun time!
Previously on Best Intentions. And you remember the job I did for you so many years ago. Similar things are happening again.
You're not messing around with that stuff. You open up a whole Pandora's box of shit. And then we come in and we find Blair holding Armitage and he's dead. How could he possibly have died from a heart attack from that? The skin was one whole complete piece. It was hollowed out. There's no sutures, no cuts, no sign of any kind of surgery.
His shins are bowed outward from each other.
Thomas seemingly lost the internals of his leg.
Back alignment seems to be crooked and off to the left.
You see Arnold Sutton dead. He no longer has a spine. So Joe, you and Stamp are looking into the office of Arnold Sutton. He is sitting in a chair. It's a wooden armchair. The back of the chair is somewhat lower than an ordinary chair, but he is completely contorted over it, falling backwards over the chair as if he had no spine. And upon further investigation of it, as you continue to stand there and take in the sight, you can see that there is what looks like a bloating in his gut as well. And his arms have also seemed to swell up somewhat in the hands and in the fingers. They seem to have puffed out like sausages. His mouth is agape and open and is hanging very heavily towards the floor. A crowd of students and onlookers are behind you, aghast at the sight. You can hear weeping and some freaking out, but most people are just awestruck at the strange sight of the professor. What do?
Part of me wants to investigate, but knowing Joe's character and like how his relationship with the rats so far, is that he kind of just wants to close the door. All right, folks. Unless somebody can do anything to help, it's time to disperse. And Joe closes the door.
And as you go to close the door, you can already see that Stamp has slipped inside and is prepping to take pictures of the body.
Damn it, Veronica. And he just like kind of slips in and closes the door behind him.
She's walking around taking pictures, just trying to like get a look at everything. Not touching anything, though. Oh my gosh. Joe, have you ever seen anything like this? This is nuts.
I saw something like this early this morning.
Are you serious?
I wish I wasn't.
And look at this. And she takes a pen and brings up his hand and then lets it go and just lets the arm swing. And it just swings like it's a rubber band.
I think the way these things work is they do something to the bones. They either get rid of them or turn them into jelly or something.
What things?
It's gonna sound hard to believe if I can't show you, but it's rat men.
Like the mole people?
I wish. The mole people are at least fictitious. These are little rat-sized with man-faced things that get inside your head and they chant, and then the best thing to do at that point is just either run away or kill them.
She starts looking around. Hey Joe, come here, look at this.
Joe apprehensively comes over to check it out.
She points at a window that's lifted about 5 feet up off the ground, and it's a small kind of ventilation window, and she points at the window and you can see kind of a greasy handprint of a 3-fingered looking kind of hand.
Yeah, that's the trademark right there. They got little man hands, but they're not quite the same.
She snaps a picture of it.
It's probably how they got in.
You're saying that this thing is this like happening all over the town?
It's happening at certain locations. Think they're traveling through the sewers like regular rats, but that's just a guess.
At that time, the door opens and you see the more security comes in. Hey, what are you two doing in here? Oh my gosh. Oh, holy shit.
We were just trying to see if we could help this man with some medical attention, but as you can see, he's a little far gone.
You two, get out. Get out right now. And they kind of grab you and move you out, and then they're looking at the body and just kind of don't know what to do at this point. And one of them gets on the phone and starts making some phone calls.
You see what I'm talking about, Veronica?
Yeah, I do.
This story is so much bigger than just a missing guy.
All right, and we'll go ahead and go over to Ben, who has just finished recounting everything about this case so far to Lisbeth.
Yeah, so that's everything. I think this amulet is the key to finding Blair, to stopping the rats, but I think that you know that this is something that really shouldn't be public, that people will panic.
She's sitting on the table very lightly biting her thumbnail, and she's thinking, before the expedition I would have said that you're full of shit. But I agree, this is definitely something to keep under wraps. Not a lot of people should know about this. Makes me think that the exhibit shouldn't exist either.
You think the things that are here are dangerous?
I don't know. I mean, they seem lifeless and dead enough, but ever since we started bringing up those barrels and we dug into that crypt, I had a bad feeling. And it's never left me. Maybe we brought something back with us. As you were telling me the story, there was just something that Blair asked me a few days after Armitage's death. He seemed to have been in a haze, like he didn't remember what happened. But after I had informed him of Armitage, he asked me if I had found a journal.
And did you?
No. Simply asked me if there was a journal next to him. And I told him that when we found them, there wasn't any kind of journal or a book. After that, it just escalated. I couldn't get out of that dig site fast enough. I thought maybe things had calmed down on the ship back, but...
Blair was losing his mind on the ship back or right after the crypt?
I didn't see it as losing his mind. He would do these things sometimes. When he would get really invested in his work, he would lock himself away and just work, I didn't see it as unusual, especially after something traumatic like losing a student. He kept to himself in his tent. He wouldn't really say much. He would come out, get food, water, go back in his tent. He was making notes. He was making a lot of notes. I didn't get the chance to read them.
Do you know where he kept these notes?
On his person at all times.
So we're not going to get a chance to look at those.
No. The notes that he left with me were during the beginning of the expedition, when we were on our way up, or when he found that amulet. We weren't exactly at the location yet. We were working our way up, and then on one of the passes, he had found it buried in some snow.
I look at this amulet for a second. Do you know if he made any notes for the amulet?
I know she goes over to a drawer and she starts thumbing through it. She pulls out this small little piece of paper. Green rock in texture, maybe some kind of jasper or topaz discoloration. He put a question mark there. Spanish, written, noting the language, he translated it. He put conquistadors, Spaniards, he put a question mark there. He didn't know if the Spanish had made it up that far in South America.
Nothing helpful.
Nothing helpful, just generalized notes. He thought it was a very interesting piece, and then he decided to ship it to Adam as some kind of a keepsake or memento.
You said it's William Armitage who died?
Yes, William Armitage. He was a student who was traveling with us on this expedition. He was writing his dissertation at the moment, and, well, he was a very excitable young boy.
And Blair was looking for some writings?
Not at first. When I informed him that we were moving Armitage's body to Arkham, after the initial surprise about that, he asked me if I had seen a journal or some kind of book next to him.
I think our next lead is the morgue. William's body. His belongings. We need to search that.
He's already in the cemetery by now, his body, but maybe you might be able to get his autopsy?
I'm interested in the belongings that he may have had on his person.
Oh, I don't know if they've kept that. It's been some time since then. I think the family might have already taken it.
Armitage's family. All right. Let's wait for Joe to meet us here. I gotta have someone to bounce this off of.
So, Joe, You and Veronica are leaving Sutton's office and walking out of the building. She looks at you. I don't think I can use any of this, actually.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, not for a proper newspaper. I can write this story. It's sensationalist, sure, but it's not, like, news. I can't write this. I'll be a hack.
I mean, there's always, what do you guys call them, ghostwriters? Write it underneath a different name. I think it's important that this is at least known about, because people are just going around the city. They could get turned to jelly by a rat man at any moment.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know, Joe. I was thinking, maybe when you called in about the Backstrom thing, you probably just found the old guy somewhere out in the woods eating a rock or something, but I don't know.
Well, there might still be a salvageable story in the Backstrom end. Like, you can leave the Ratman out of it, still find the guy.
I've just kind of been scraping the bottom of the barrel looking for a good story. I mean, the Backstrom thing was promising, but it never just led anywhere. I kept getting stonewalled everywhere I went. Then, there was the mob and everything.
This is the most interesting story you've ever... Well, I don't know about you've ever seen, but it's the most interesting thing I've ever seen.
I know, it's definitely in the top 10.
Top 10? Jeez, you gotta tell me about the other 9.
Maybe if you buy me some drinks first. Buy me dinner, I'll tell you about the top 10.
You wouldn't want to go to dinner with a guy like me. No table manners.
Yeah, as long as you're buying. Food's food.
I feel the same. About food,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where's, when you called me, didn't you mention, like, a partner or something?
Yeah, Ben, he's been talking about how he's seen shit like this before. And it's kind of starting to piss me off with him being so cagey at the whole thing. Now that 2 people are dead, I mean, they're both scumbags, but it's only a matter of time before...
More people start popping up dead?
Yeah, some good people start popping.
Well...
Arnold Sutton, he's plagiarizing work, so kind of a dirtbag. The other guy, apparently he was forging checks, also kind of a dirtbag, but, it's only a matter of time before, like, this hits a nun or something.
Well, hold on. And she kind of stops just outside of the museum. Let's think about this, Joe. Sutton.
Yeah?
What else about Sutton? He was plagiarizing.
Yeah.
And... Hold on. You see her light a cigarette and she sticks it behind her ear.
That sounds dangerous.
And this is something that you know that she does whenever she's trying to think.
She lights it before she puts it behind her ear?
Yep.
That just sounds like burns.
Her explaining behind this was she thinks better under stress.
Like burns?
Ooh.
On her temple and hair?
She's got to figure it out before the cigarette burns her ear. I can see that.
Okay, Joe.
Yeah.
Sutton and Grand. What's the 2 thing that ties them together?
They are both pretending to be phonies. They're presenting something that they weren't.
No, something else.
The bad guys.
Something else. It's gotta be something else. Come on. You can see, like, she's already figured it out. She's wanting to see if you can get it.
Something else. They're both rich white dudes. They have so many things in common.
Come on, Joe. This cigarette's getting really close to my ear. Come on. Joe, come on. Let's go find your buddy Ben. She takes the cigarette out and flicks it. Don't worry.
They were both cheats.
Oh, Joe. Oh, come on, Joe.
I've tried my best. You always know I've been a little bit behind the 8 ball.
Well, yeah, the blow to the head didn't help you either.
No, did not help with that.
So, eventually, you guys meet back with Ben and Lisbeth.
Hey, Joe. This is, your friend?
Yeah, this is Veronica Stamp. This is the reporter lady I was telling you about. Listen, Ben, we gotta talk for a second. You remember Arnold Sutton?
What about him?
He's dead. Didn't have a spine. His arms were all... it's hard to describe.
What?
Yeah, he's dead.
Guessing I know the answer, but what exactly happened to him?
The fucking rats, I assume, because there was evidence of them everywhere. No spine, fucked up his arms. It was quite honestly terrifying watching him sit in that chair, spilling out of it like a sack of pus and skin, and it's going to haunt my nightmares for the rest of my life, however long that lasts. Ben, you know what's going on, and you're not telling me anything. I'm putting myself out on a limb here by trusting you. What's going on is terrifying enough. The head of the crime syndicate in this city is so scared of it that he's giving you carte blanche to do whatever you need so that he's not involved in it. What the fuck is going on? I need to know. You're putting me in danger. You're putting Veronica in danger. You're putting Miss Lisbeth Kane over here in fucking danger. Because you're not telling me what the fuck is going on!
Usually I try to keep this a secret. But you're right, Joe. Keeping it a secret now will only make things worse for us. Three years ago, I was contracted by Mordecai. He was only a lieutenant in the mob at the time. He had a guy who disappeared. They figured that it was a snitch, so we needed the man found. Me and a couple of his men raided the guy's apartment. We had found that he had gone to a cabin a few miles south of town. We let Mordecai know, and he met us there with a couple more of his guys. We checked out the cabin. We found mundane household objects and weapons, which would also be expected given the context of the job. When we checked out the basement, however, we found sigils, carvings on the wall, body parts strewn across the room. We also found a journal. It was full of inane ramblings. It mentioned a tank out back. When we went to go check the tank, we saw that it was surrounded by cans of petrol. We also heard sounds coming from within. When we popped the lid, we saw some thing staring back at us. It appeared to be a woman, and she was asking for help. So of course we helped her up and started to take her back to the cabin to get her cleaned up. That's where this all really begins. I heard the tearing, ripping and remolding of flesh behind me. When I turned around, I was impaled by claws that this creature had grown. Instantly. Mordecai and two of his guys lost their nerve immediately and ran. His other two guys started shooting, as did I. Bullets didn't do much, so one of his guys tried getting it with the petrol, igniting it. And that worked. The creature burned up. You'd think that would be the end of it, but it wasn't. From the thing's charred corpse, an ethereal, ghostly being. It let out an otherworldly wail and escaped into the woods. Mordecai's two guys chased it, and we never saw them again. After that, I passed out. But when I came to, Charles, another one of Mordecai's guys, came back. We both agreed. I took the journal, and then we burned the whole place to the ground, destroying everything that we had found. No one else should have to experience the madness that we did that day. Since then, I haven't been the same. I close my eyes, and I still hear that thing's twisted scream. There's also a voice, a drive, to continue to pursue it, to make sure that it was eradicated, erased from this earth, and to make sure nothing like it ever happens again. Me and Charles would follow leads from the journal. Charles chased one such lead and disappeared. Eric died in a shootout a couple months later. And Mordecai? He does everything he can to forget, to pretend like it never happened. Despite how much myself, Charles, and Eric told him it was real. Still wants nothing to do with it. He even covered up the destruction of the cabin. So it's just me. Joe, when I got the letter for this job, I sensed that it was going to be the same. I needed help. And I think you'd agree that I was right. The madness, the horror, it's starting again. A man comes back from South America acting crazy and then disappears down the Miskatonic River wreathed in an unnatural light. The first thing we discover is that a man's bones are rubberizing, looking as if they're trying to escape his body. And people's internals are disappearing, being ripped from their bodies, with no sign of a removal process of any kind. And every time it happens, there is chanting in our heads from some rat-like creatures that are twisted mockeries of life. It has to end, Joe. I won't let it continue. If you want to back out, I understand. but I have to keep going. But if you want to help, we need to figure out what our next move is.
Look, Ben. You always can tell when you got baggage of your own. You can see who else carries something with them. But these rats, they're bringing back too many memories from the war. And now I have to jump in feet first in order to deal with this, because if I know that they're still out there, this is probably one of my worst nightmares come true. There's intelligence here, and I don't get it. You know I'm not a smart man. These things are just too fucking smart for me.
So we just need to know where they're at. We need to know where they're coming from.
Well, where do all rats come from? Trench, sewer, basically the same thing.
If they're coming from the same location, they're coming out of the stormwater drainage ducts?
That's my guess.
Well, there's now another victim. We need to hurry this up.
Stamp pipes up. If I can interject for a minute. Number one, wasn't expecting to hear all that today.
Yeah, sorry. It's I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page with the.
Yeah, but two, before today I probably wouldn't have really thought about it. But after all this crazy stuff has happened, and after seeing that Sutton guy, I did talk to somebody. The eyewitness account. It was in my newspaper. You guys read. Marnes, the tugboat guy.
The crazy boat guy.
He's the one who saw Blair. That's what he told me. He never told me the name of the tugboat or whatever he was on or who drove him. I mean, they're all kind of tight-lipped down there.
Did he tell you what happened with Blair?
No, he just saw him go down the Miskatonic River. I mean, he might... I didn't really stick around and talk to him because I just thought he was
Well, he was driving the tugboat, yes?
No, he wasn't driving the tugboat. He was on the docks watching him.
Did the boat ever return?
Not to my knowledge, no. I never got a follow-up on that. I just thought he was a crazy drunk guy. Shame on me.
No one would have believed him.
No, I didn't believe him. I just thought he was a nice way to spice up the story. The next thing I want to say is, what is the connection that we know between Arnold Sutton and the Grands? Anybody?
They both knew Blair. They both hated him.
Mm-hmm. Blair. Right? They both not only did something to Blair, but who else?
Adam.
Adam. Do you see where I'm getting with this? Elizabeth is kind of back. I think so. So, the rats are going after people who are...
hurting Adam Backstrom.
There it is!
Do we know if Adam had any other enemies?
Well, Adam's got that weird bone thing. It's kind of similar to what's happening to the victims.
We have some options then. We can go and talk to Adam, see if he had anyone else who hurt him. But if we do... Wait a second. Joe, Liza's still alive.
Stamp's eyes go wide. She's... well, probably not for much longer, right?
Yeah, if Liza's still alive, we need to get back there.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Veronica?
Yeah?
Like I said, if you follow us, you'll get a story. I don't know if you can publish it, but...
How about the three of us just meet up later at a diner and you guys can just tell me all about it? I have a hunch I gotta follow up on. I'm really sorry, but I gotta split.
Okay.
Wait, what's your hunch? Is it relevant to this?
Yeah, I mean... I was gonna go back and talk to that Marnes character, the tugboat captain.
We'll meet you at the docks.
All right, meet you at the docks. And so she pretty much just takes off. Elizabeth goes, I have something to follow up on too, actually. Nitroglycerin.
What? Nitroglycerin?
There are pills. Blair had nitroglycerin pills that he took for his heart condition. He stopped taking them after Armitage.
Ah.
What are you getting at? That his heart was suddenly perfect?
I don't know. They're giving me that autopsy report come hell or high water. Maybe we just all meet up at the docks. I'll meet you at the docks. I have to...
Okay. If they have any belongings, such as a journal, bring that too. We'll meet you at the docks tonight.
All right.
Say, Pier 2. Joe, we need to get back to the Grands.
I think that's a good guess.
Let's go.
You guys leave the museum exhibit and start making your way to back to the touring. Am I correct in assuming that you guys are, like, racing off to the car?
Not in a dead sprint, but it's a fast jog.
So fast jogging, you guys get into the car, you're getting to the touring. How fast are you driving back to the Grants? Is this like breakneck speed driving, or is this like casual Sunday drive speed?
Oh, man. Like, it would be cool if we started racing, but if we do that, then the cops are on us probably.
I don't think they had speed limits back in the 1920s. Not yet.
No, I don't think so. I think you ever got pulled over for speeding in the 1920s. Like, do you know how fast you were going? And then they look, do you? He's like, nah, I don't know.
You're going pretty fast. It's cool looking.
You don't think they had
like
reckless
you're going
driving?
faster than usual.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight? Like, yes, I have. Can I have some? Here you go, officer. Thanks, bud.
You don't think they had something for reckless driving?
I mean, if you crash into something, probably.
I don't think so.
Okay, if we're just going by the understanding that there's no speed limits in this version of the 1920s or anything for...
You can look up when they put speed limits in the placements if you want to, but I know the Smith driving method didn't exist until 1952.
Stupid fucking training videos.
It was 3 hours of that, Tony.
I can't believe you retained that.
1901, my dude.
1901, damn.
1901, they got driving laws?
In 1901, Connecticut was the first state in the United States to impose a numerical speed limit for motor vehicles, setting the maximum legal speed to 12 miles an hour in cities and 15 on rural roads. Speed limits then propagated across the United States. By 1930, all but 12 states had established their numerical limits. So, we can just say, we'll fudge the rules, and they don't have one here.
Yeah. So I just looked it up. So Massachusetts established theirs at 1902.
Damn.
But we'll just say, in this version of the world, Massachusetts is one of those states that hasn't done it yet. We'll just say, for this one, rule of cool, gotta go fast.
Yeah, once we get back to the car, I think we're going as fast as we can. There is a life on the line, even if she was a bitch.
You guys hopping into the touring, and Ben, you take off. I want you to make a drive auto check for me.
Oh, shit, that's right, there's rolling in this.
Yeah! First drive auto check.
Yeah, I got 100, so I'm going to push that roll if I can.
Alright, I'll go ahead and say for this one time, you know your car. You know how it handles. So as you're driving, you're going pretty fast. You can see that there's some oil slicks up ahead of you. What do you do that's different?
Instead of just trying to maintain the direction that I wanted to go, I realized that attempting to overcorrect will be a problem. And so I allow this oil slick to sort of change my path, my route to Liza Grand. And in a manner of speaking, I might have just invented drifting.
Okay. Well, we'll see if you invent drifting. Make a drive auto check.
I will make another drive auto check. Now it's 7.
Oh, yeah, you invent drifting. Yeah, so you drift around the corner like a bouse. And you're shooting straight up towards that central bridge right here.
What's going on the bridge?
You guys continue to go down to the bridge. As you're driving down the bridge, you have some traffic coming your way. You see a cyclist who's doing what cyclists do and hogging the road. Go ahead and make another drive auto check for me to not hit the cyclist.
19. That's a hard.
19. You skirt around the cyclist. Cyclist gets a little spooked, but is able to stay on top of their bicycle. And as you round the next corner, keep on going straight till you hit East High Lane. And you make a hard right up that corner. Go ahead and make a spot hidden for me. Joe, you can also do this too if you want.
81 over 60.
Mine was weirdly also 81 over 60. You know what? I'm going to use some luck points. It was 81 over 60. I need to use 21 luck to make it a regular success, bringing me down to an even 50 luck.
Oh, look who's down in the shit with the rest of the real people.
What's spot hidden get me?
So spot hidden, as you guys are coming up to the intersection between East High Lane and North Garrison Street, you see walking across the intersection 2 men carrying several panes of glass.
Sick. Drive through it.
All right, so I'll give you 3 options. 1, you stop. 2, you smash through it. 3, you make a hard left turn and head straight up Marsh Street.
Fucking glass? Get that shit out of here. I am gonna duck, though, right when I go through, just in case any comes flying through a windshield.
All right, so you look at the panes of glasses these 2 men are carrying, and you say, screw it, foot to the floor, hard acceleration. Joe, you turn just in time to see the Turing about to smash through these panes of glass. The Turing smashes through the glass. Both of you just make dodge checks real quick to see if you can duck down in time before you get, sprattled with, shards of glass.
10.
10?
69 over 30, so I get hit.
All right. So, Ben, you duck down just in time as the glass that hits the car kind of smashes in some of the windshield and kind of spatters shards of glass all behind you. Joe, as you duck down, you don't duck down quite enough in time and you get hit with a bit of spattering of glass shards straight in the face. It's only going to do a couple of points of damage as you have some glass shards smacking into your face, but you do manage to get your arms up in front of your eyes in time so nothing hits you in the eyes.
Oh, good.
And you can also hear the guys behind you. Well, one of them's cussing you guys out. The other guy's like, ah! It's like he gets hit with a bunch of glass.
Oh, no.
The unforeseen consequences of cool action chases.
And as you guys turn up to the Grand's house, you can see that there is a couple of policemen stationed outside of the Grand's house, but who are now very curious as to what that loud smashing noise was and what that screaming is.
But no, Tony, there needs to be a fruit stand that we have to drive through.
Oh, we hit the pretzel stand.
Now you hit the pretzel stand.
Oh no, my pretzels!
Yeah, are they dipping? Also, is Turnbaum's car still there?
Turnbaum's car is not there anymore.
Okay, well, he's safe at least. Yeah, we park sloppily. I just get up. Because the cops have dipped? They just ran off?
No, they didn't run off, but they are, kind of walking forward, trying to hear what's going on. And one hears, some more screaming, and he takes off. The other one stays at the house.
I'm taking the rifle with me.
All right. Yeah, off in the distance, you guys just hear,
Oh, God! Holy shit! Ah! The glass in my eyes!
I don't bother with a two-handed weapon because that's even more scary when you run up to a cop with one. But I run up to the police officer because he's in front of the house, right?
Yeah, he's in front of the door of the house. He heard you guys pull up, and he's watching his friend run off to the distance. And as you're running up towards him, he turns and he looks at you. He sees the state of your guys' car. Are you folks all right?
Yeah, we're fine, but there's a fucking crazy guy down there running people off the road. There's also at least one hurt man. I'm sure your partner could use your help.
Well, I gotta stay at this station. We'll get some more people out here pretty soon.
That dude down there might very well bleed out without adequate assistance, and you're a police officer. Protect and serve. Do your job.
Fast talk.
Oh, that's not so bad. I will use 8 points to make that successful.
He kind of looks. He's like, no. Yeah. I should go help. You folks, wait here. I'll send some people your way to come help you out. Looks like your car's in a bad situation. So you folks stay right here. I'll be right back. I gotta go deal with this situation.
Yeah,
further up the road, okay?
Go!
All right. You folks stay safe. And he takes off.
Joe's gonna start scanning the bushes and sewer openings for rats.
Go ahead and spot hidden.
Spot hidden? Okay. Oh boy. That is a 14.
You don't see anything like that, Joe. You don't see anything.
Okay.
Coast seems pretty clear.
I go in the house.
Ben, you go into the house, and then looking in, you see nobody else is here. You look into the room. Liza's not here anymore. The body of Thomas Grand isn't here anymore. The blood is still present and has seeped in a lot deeper into all the wood and all the other furniture that it's touched. But everyone's gone.
And we can ask the cop where Liza is.
Yeah, I get out and I run down the street.
You run down the street to where the 2 cops are taking care of the gentleman with a bunch of glass in his face.
I ask one of the cops, hey,
God, I've never seen so much glass in a person in my life.
I smack him on the back like, hey,
Ah!
You were guarding that house up there. Where'd she go? What happened?
He's kind of flustered between both of you. Yeah, they took her, she wasn't responding. We took her to the police station. I heard she's up at the asylum. She was up at Arkham Asylum.
Thank you, officer, and I run back to the car where I imagine Joe hasn't quite left.
Yeah, Joe's still holding a rifle next to the car, looking around for any rats that might pop up.
Yep.
I get back to the car and it's, Joe, get in. We need to go.
Okay.
All right, so you guys once again take off to Arkham Asylum. You guys drive there being a little bit more careful, a little more patient. You guys get to Arkham Asylum. You open up the doors. You run in. You see there's several people there who, one of them appears to be a receptionist, and there's like a glass window in front of them. There's like a little hole cut out to let sound through.
Okay.
Yes, can I help you boys? And she keeps looking over at Joe, who has shards of glass in his face and he's bleeding. I can direct you boys to Arkham General. This is Arkham Asylum.
We're looking for Liza Grand.
Liza Grand?
Time is of the essence.
Okay, and you're just kind of saying this with so much forcefulness that she's just kind of going on. Yes, she was admitted at least 2 hours ago, actually.
Where is she?
She flips a basement floor, room C12. She's in BC12.
Basement C12. Okay, yeah, got it. Thank you. And I run to the elevator.
Hold on, you can't go unaccompanied. You can't go unaccompanied. She's yelling after you.
I super just don't care. I rip out of there running.
All right. Joe, what are you doing?
I'm trying to stop this nurse. I guess I'll eventually follow towards where it's oh, don't worry about it. Wait.
Are you still carrying your rifle?
Probably not into a hospital, into an asylum.
Okay. Did you grab a pistol?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we start running down to the basement. I start running down the hallways. I look for signs saying A, B, C, D, or whatever. I go down room C.
So as you're running past people, you're kind of bumping into some of them. Hey, you can't be down here. And then Joe follows a little bit before you, and this really tall guy just runs past. They're just kind of following right after you. And then some people are trying to stop you. You kind of just yank your arm away from you as they yank your arm away from them as they grab you by the arm, trying to stop you. Some people who look like asylum workers, kind of the bigger, beefier dudes to help hold down the more violent vendors, start following you and chasing after you. So you're seeing okay, C12, and you find her door. It's this big white steel door, and you can see there's a sliding cover so you can look in.
Yeah, what's inside?
You get there, you open it up, and you can see there's a broken hanging lamp which is swinging back and forth. You're looking in, and you can hear the crunching of broken glass on the floor. You can hear this crawling noise. You can hear this.
I swing that door open. Does it open?
It is locked. It is super locked. It requires a key, or you can go ahead and roll strength if you just want to brute force that door open.
Joe, help me with this.
Okay, I'm also going to add a strength roll to this and pry this door open.
Okay, so both of you go ahead and make a strength check for me. And as you guys both get there and you're yanking on the door, you can hear down the hallway, you can see more of the asylum workers running towards you guys, yelling for you to stop, making a beeline for you guys.
Okay, well, strength. 19. Which is close to an extreme, not quite though.
I rolled a 57, but my strength is 80.
You guys both grab the door. You hear it coming, the lock coming loose. You just open it up and you fling it open. You can see Liza on the ground crawling on this glass, which looks like it had been the shattered bulb, and she's just gasping for air, wide-eyed. You can see there's some blood on her foot, blood on her legs, and she's just kind of crawling through it, reaching up for you and trying to grab for you.
I'm gonna rush to her and administer first aid.
All right, so you get to her, you grab her. Do you kind of pull her out of the room?
I'm not gonna pull her out of the room because you don't yank people out of rooms unless there's an immediate threat.
As you grab her and you do some first aid on her, you can feel her heartbeat, and it is going at 1,000,000 miles an hour at this point, just out of adrenaline and fear.
I'm looking around the room for rats or a hole that one could get in, I guess.
All right, so looking around, go and make a spot hidden for me.
Regular success.
You're looking. You look up and you can see a ventilation window similar to the one that Arnold Sutton had in his office, but all the way at the top and almost to the ceiling. And there you see another rat looking down at Liza, and you can see his mouth moving and muttering. You can hear that chant in your head.
Yeah, I shoot it.
All right, you go shoot it. Go ahead and roll handgun for me. Joe, you can feel her heart fluttering and pounding quickly and quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. And you can see that she can't get air. Whatever it is, whatever's going on, she can't get any air in. She's just looking at you, grabbing at you, and she's you can. Some of her fingernails kind of dig into you, just kind of out of this desperation.
Can I roll first aid to see if I can do an emergency tracheotomy or something like that?
Yeah, sure.
I got a 59 over 70, regular success.
All right. So, Joe, you pulled out a small pocket knife, and you start to go ahead and perform the emergency tracheotomy. In the meantime, Ben, holding up your pistol, looking at the rat, you fire.
Yeah, I got 67, but I will use luck points to make that a success, so it meets 61. So that's 6 points of luck, bringing me down to 44.
Okay, you can hear, once again, you guys all hear that chanting again. Ben, you take aim. You can feel like the trigger requires like a little bit more pressure to fire the gun for some reason, just something is not quite working. You pull the trigger, the gun fires, you can see the glass is a lot thicker than regular glass, but the bullet still manages to penetrate through the glass. You can see it hit the rat, and the rat just kind of tumbles off of the side of the window. And as it does, you can just hear the very tail ends of that chant before it dies out. And Joe, as you're performing the emergency tracheotomy, as you go to stab that in, that heartbeat that you felt, which was so rapid and so sporadic, is just gone.
I stop the tracheotomy and I start performing CPR.
Okay, and you go to do it. And you can see, just kind of at the sight of like what's happened, some of the staff has like backed off a little bit.
Well, in between compressions, Joe's like, "Get a doctor!"
One of them runs out.
I look over at the window and see if the rat was killed. Did I see like the head pop, or did it just sort of like fall over?
It didn't seem to pop this time. Looks like the bullet definitely hit it and it like fell out. It didn't like explode like what they've been doing.
But did it look like it killed it, or did it just knock it off the ledge?
Best you could tell, it probably killed it. You'd have to go out and find the body, though.
Okay. I go out and I look through the window to see if I can spot it or it running away or something.
Okay. So you grab like the little twin bed that's in there and you drag it over to the window so that way you can stand up on it and actually like look through the window.
Mm-hmm.
As you're like looking up and through the window, like you're trying to look down where the ground would be, but the window's just so small you can't quite get that view of the ground.
But I don't see anything like running away.
But you don't see anything running away.
Did the chanting stop when I got it?
I would say it was more of a fade out rather than when you first shot that one rat outside the Grants, it was a hard stop. But this one was just kind of like a more of a trails off.
Yeah, after that I get off the bed, I go out and I look, I hear Joe calling for a doctor. I go out and say, "We need medical."
After Joe called for a doctor, somebody already ran out to go get a doctor, and some people are just kind of like standing and like looking and whispering at each other.
Okay.
One man approaches and he
1, 2, 3.
tries to help out Joe. He looks at him and says, I have some medical training.
I need breath assistance. Keep the compressions up. I need you to stop breathing for her.
And he tries to do his best to help.
1, 2.
Eventually,
1.
you guys are there for about half an hour before some people show up to take the body away.
Joe's still trying to do CPR as they're like saying like, "No, she's gone."
So they take Liza's body away. You see one person there, and he kind of like looks at you guys and walks up. And he's the one who entered in with the rest of the group. He says, you two, Joe and Ben?
Who's asking?
Oh, I work for Dr. Turnbaum. He was in the office when we got the call about this happening, and he figured that maybe you two might be here. I have a car. I can give you a lift to the hospital.
There's no point. We need to get to the docks.
Well, all right.
Does Dr. Turnbaum have a particular need to talk to us right now, or?
Well, just in case you weren't able to go talk to him, he kind of anticipated this, but we wanted to let you know his findings. He performed the autopsy on Thomas, and also he just finished performing the autopsy on Professor Sutton.
All right.
He wanted me to let you.
We don't need a lift, but we'll head there. It sounds like useful information.
Right.
Thank you. What was your name?
Oh, Sturgis. Richard Sturgis.
Richard Sturgis.
Pleasure to meet you, Sturgis. Thank you.
Yeah.
I shake his hand. Yeah, we leave, I guess. On the way out, it's not nearly as fast anymore. What time of day is it?
Say by the time you guys got finished with all that, it's close to 4 in the afternoon.
Okay. Yeah, I get back in the car and I just sort of sit there for a second, and then slam the steering wheel once. Fuck!
Joe, you were seated next to Ben.
So 3 people are dead, and they all trying to fuck over Adam Backstrom.
We could have saved Liza. If only we were just a second sooner.
Is this kid who's not even going to survive another year, maybe? I mean, I don't know. His health was in terrible condition.
That's what Turnbaum said. He said he wouldn't last the year.
Yeah. Got any more enemies that we need to know about? Because that seems to be the common thread right here.
I don't know. Turnbaum seemed to have something worth telling us, so we should go.
Thinking about that slim guy. The burglar. The more we go around, the more questions I get, but I don't know where we go from here.
I don't know about the burglar. We don't know who hired him. I could probably find out where he is, but...
Well, didn't the burglar steal the amulet?
He was burning letters for whatever reason. That sounds...
Like the Grands.
Probably. That's who Mordecai seemed to think hired him. Let's just go to Turnbaum. Then we got some people to meet at the docks.
Alright.
We drive off. We go to the hospital.
You pull up to Arkham General, and you exit the touring in somewhat of a somber mood as you enter inside, and you find Turnbaum at the hospital morgue, surrounded by corpses, with Liza's being the newest among the additions. He looks at you, blood on his clothes and somewhat up his arms as he's washing his hands off in the sink. Happy to see you too. Well, I think at this time I discover some of my findings with you. Now, I did not have the pleasure to do most of the autopsies, but at least on these ones here. So we already know about poor Thomas. Yes? Everything below the knee, completely gone, left with an empty sack of skin. Now, unfortunately, he brings over 2 separate carts. He takes off one sheet, which reveals the top half of Arnold, and he takes off another half, which reveals the bottom half of Arnold.
Did he split when they tried to move him?
Yes, fortunately, he didn't quite survive the transport to the hospital. He's completely missing his spine, his sternum, ribs, collarbones, all of the bones in his arms and in his hands, tendons, part of his circulatory system. His skull is still intact, but unfortunately, somewhat slid out. You can see his face is like kind of deflated a bit. And then lastly, we have Liza here. I haven't yet performed the autopsy.
Doctor, I have a quick guess as to what happened.
Joe, would you like to assist?
I wouldn't like to, but I will assist. I think we're going to open up the ribcage first because I want to see if something's still there.
So together, you and Turnbaum perform an autopsy on Liza Grand.
Yeah, Ben takes a seat over in the corner and just hangs his head.
And opening up the ribcage, 3 things are missing. 2 lungs and a heart.
I've tried performing CPR on her, and it was like nothing was there.
I don't think that you could have saved her. Well, now we have an account of everything that's been taken, I suppose.
So...
Constitute a whole body, almost?
Almost.
Dr. Turnbaum? You're the one most familiar with Adam. I don't want to pussyfoot around this, but would you say that Adam had breathing issues and rhythmic heart?
He just nods his head.
And them being cousins, Liza might have...
He just very slowly just continues nodding his head up and down.
Liza might have been a good donor.
Yes, and from what I heard, kept herself in pretty good shape. Wasn't really much of a smoker, I've heard.
Adam's also got the bone condition.
The legs, arms, fingers, back.
Let's say, hypothetically, if one were able to just do a transplant of all these missing body parts into...
It's impossible.
It's impossible, but these would be parts that Adam would need to survive, correct?
Yes.
Ben walks over with his hands in his pockets, sort of having heard this.
I would even ask those questions, Turnbaum, if I hadn't seen bones and organs vanish out of a living person right before my eyes. She was breathing before she died. I felt her pulse before she died. We're the only ones that made a decision. We're the only ones that could have possibly taken those organs. They just didn't disappear. That doesn't happen.
I feel like I am just left with only one issue right now, and that's what to put in my report. What to say exactly on these matters.
Well, you heard of natural causes, right? I think you could put down unnatural causes at this point.
I think I'll have to put down,
People will think that that's foul play.
I'll think of something. You boys, I don't know if this was helpful, but I thought maybe you should know.
No, I just confirmed some things for my own mind. Still think I'm going crazy.
Maybe we all are at this point, huh?
It's been a really long day, Doctor.
I'll take care of this here. You do whatever you need to do to find Blair.
Thank you for your help, Doctor.
Joe, we have some people to meet at the docks.
Good luck, you too.
Thank you, Doctor. Oh, and Doctor. Do try to keep this under wraps as best you can.
Yeah, trust me, I don't want anyone finding out as much as you do.
Thank you. And we go?
All right. You guys leave, get back into the Turing, and head down towards the docks. By the time you get there, it's dusk, sun's setting down low. Cascading over is an orange horizon. You guys park, get out, you can see both Elizabeth and Stamp standing next to each other, kind of making casual conversation. As you guys pull up, Stamp looks over at you guys and waves at you.
I wave back, come over, and... What did you two find?
Well, I was able to arrange a meeting with Marnes, so he should be showing up anytime soon. So that's what I found out. I was able to get a meeting with him.
Who's Marnes again?
He's the tugboat captain I interviewed in the newspaper.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing.
Yeah.
Joe mentioned a rat thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you could describe it for me so maybe I could write down something?
I mean, we could show you one. Cat one.
You have one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to get a picture of that. I'm not going to show it to anybody, but...
All right. We go over, and I put my hand on the trunk before I open it. Stamp. This story is going to have to be handled very carefully.
Heck of anything, it's just going to go in my private journal.
He stares at her for a second. All right. He opens up the trunk and pulls out the toolbox.
Right, she gets her camera ready. But as you are moving the toolbox around, you can kind of feel this weird sloshing, like liquid.
We can hear that?
Yeah.
I look at Joe. Did you pour water in this thing?
You know I don't want to be anywhere near that thing.
And I curiously open it up. What made it wet?
So, opening it up, you see just a deflated rat skin, and the rest of it's just like this pinkish gray goo that's just lying around there. And you can see a couple of very tiny human eyes floating in the goo, as well as some teeth.
Got worse. You made it worse, Tony.
You're welcome.
This is... I look at Veronica. I swear it was intact when we caught it.
She looks in there. Oh, it smells terrible. Oh, what is that? What does that mean for the other rats? You know?
That they all sorb mush? I don't know.
Oh, it's so terrible. Close it. Jeez.
Yeah, I close it. I close it up.
You're gonna have to throw that toolbox out. It's,
Yeah.
irredeemable.
Yeah, get yourself a new toolbox.
How close are we to the water?
Like, you can just huck it. It'll just go right in the river.
I throw it in the water.
It floats for a little bit before the water seeps into the hole that you stabbed in there and then starts to very slowly sink.
Well, we got a call from a doctor we've been working with. Seems Liza didn't make it.
Oh, no.
We were just a second too late.
Lisbeth speaks up. Well, I don't know if your suspicions have already been confirmed, but mine have been. I was finally able to get the autopsy report from Armitage. According to this, he had the heart of a 65-year-old man.
That matches up with what we've learned. Adam has had issues with his legs, his heart, lungs, spinal column.
A whole body, essentially.
And those are all things that have been taken from the victims. So, you said the rats were coming out of the stormwater drainage, Joe?
Yeah, saw them crawling out of those grates on the street.
I think that's our next lead, unless the tugboat driver has anything else to say, or something to say when he gets here.
As you say that, you see a tugboat coming up the river, and it pulls up to the side of the dock. You see on the side of the tugboat, it is named Pepper, and the man steps off, very grizzled, itchy, woolly turtleneck, wearing a hat, big scruffy beard. And you can see he's missing at least 3 fingers between each of his hands. I just added him there. It's Terrence Stubborn Marnes. He ties the tugboat off to the raft, steps off, and Stamp walks up to him and goes, Hey, Mr. Marnes, we were wondering if I take ye a fine devil Backstrom, aye? kind of walks past Stamp and walks straight up to you two. And he looks at you guys and he spits on the ground and he has like some chewing tobacco in his mouth.
You want to know where that Maxstrom was, eh? Lining up the river and come down this way. I'll take you to him. I'll take you to where he makes his hell. Where he spawns.
I look at Joe, I look at Lisbeth and Stamp, and I look back to him.
They look at you guys.
I go over to the car. I open up the trunk. I pull out a shotgun. All right. Show us.